In a world of rumors and reckless talk, one woman stands for truth. She doesn't speculate, she cross-examines. The courtroom is her kingdom, and justice wears heels.
Order in the court, let the facts be seen. Melissa Jade on the mic, call her crime scene queen. She don't do drama, she don't do lies. Every case get clean when she analyze. Cross that line, she'll object real quick. Logic so tight, it cut like a brick. Beautiful mind with a presence so loud. When she speaks, you can feel the whole room bow. Room bow, room bow.
She studies every angle, every word, every lie. And when she speaks, it's not emotion, it's evidence.
No hearsay, just receipts on the table. She don't need fiction, truth's her label. Courtroom lights, glow her heels, click steady. Whole jury leaning like, man, we ready. They talk nonsense, she calls it out clear. Confident, strong, you can feel that in the air. She got the law locked and the facts in sway. Another case closed the Melissa J. way.
They came with theories, she came with proof. They had opinions, she had the truth. They had the theories, she came with proof. They had opinions, she had the truth.
Beauty don't fade when the brain got bites. She shine like a verdict red late at night. Smart, bold, blow loud and still so graceful. Every sentence sharp and tasteful.
Some say justice is blind, but when Melissa Jade steps in, justice sees clearly.
Yeah, she walked through lies like a gavel crack. Truth in her voice, ain't no turning back. Debunking myths with a lawyer's flair. She don't chase clout, she builds it there. Applause in the chat, they know her name. Melissa Jade, she don't play games. Beautiful, brilliant, truth unafraid. Bow to the queen of facts, Melissa Jade.
The verdict is in, and the truth has a name. Melissa Jade. Melissa Jade.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hello, hello. Oh, right off the Thank you, Jean. MJ, clap hands, no cheeks. Happy Friday. Hi, Shell. Thank you so much. Hi, Addie. Hi, Jenna Adams. Oh, no, my thing did that thing. My chat did that thing finally. I don't want it to do that thing, though, where it shows ats versus your names. I don't like that. I don't like that. Sorry. I've known this day was going to come for a while, and I definitely do not like that because not everybody's ats are their names. And so I'm going to get upset if I don't realize who you are because your ad is different. Your handle's different. So that's disappointing. But hopefully I could change that. But other than that, happy Friday. I have missed you guys. I am so sorry. I'm still getting over being sick. It sucks, but we are here. We are going to hopefully finish out these Medium posts today. And when I say hopefully, not that I haven't been enjoying them, but it's taken longer than expected. And I know that we are doing the Greg deep dive. That is still happening. I just totally got sidebarred into these Medium posts, and once I start something, I kind of have to finish it, and then I could start in, I can't stop midway, jump to Greg, jump back. It'll mess me up, if that makes sense. I know, Samantha. I'm not going to know who anyone is. I don't like it. Hi, Harlot. Hi, Neat Noodle. Are you excited for the weekend and a holiday week for Thanksgiving, MJ? I'm excited for a 3-day work week. Yes, if that's what you mean. Yes. And I'm excited it's the weekend. So yes, double yes, 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 and food. So 3 yeses. I could have just said yes to begin with, but I went through each bullet point, so give me more credit. Hi, Nancy Druke. That's not a normal name, though. You see what's happening to me? All of your handles need to match your normal name, or else I'm going to get very confused. I know there's my hat. There's Kelly. Neat Noodle, okay. I don't like this, though. I think there's an option where we could do the settings, and that's what I'm gonna have to try to figure out. But I'm so excited to go through these. And sorry, I'm sounding a little manly. That's okay though, but I'm still getting over being sick. But we're gonna finish out these Medium posts. I'm so excited. Hi, Lisa Marie. No way, did they, Harley Quinn? Long Crime just did a video of Laura. No way. I still want to try a fried turkey. I have not tried fried turkey. I hear fried turkey is really good. And I'd like to try that eventually. I know I mentioned that last year, but we are going to be doing another fundraiser like we did last year. Last year we did Toys for Tots. And then January last year we did also in honor of Gannon Stauch. And we did that for St. Jude's. And so we'll be doing another, if you guys want to do Toys for Tots, or we could do a different fundraiser this year, and then we'll do one again for Gannon in January. Nope, I very quickly made dinner right before I came on after work, and I ate very quickly. That's why I was 10 minutes late. Sorry. Not sorry, though. It was good. It was decent. Okay. Here is our missing child for tonight's live stream. Our missing child is Marble Ace Arvidsson. He has been missing since August 27th, 2011 from Brattleboro, Vermont. He would be 31 years old. So Marble's photo is shown age progressed to 23 years old, and he was last seen on August 27th, 2011. He may go by the nickname Marb. And it breaks my heart when I see ones that are so old. Like, this was the most recent one in Vermont. The other ones in Vermont, oh my God, they were very old. So if you or anyone you know has information on Marble's whereabouts, please contact the Brattleboro Police Department at 1-802-257-7950. Hi, Julie A. Okay. So, and I'm so eager. I cannot wait to do this Greg Gillespie deep dive, because I really want to see the parallels and how it overlaps along with Mike's. So I'm just really looking forward to all of this. All things Laura. So we last left off, and if you haven't yet, please take a second, hit that thumbs up. Thank you all for being here. Happy weekend. We last left off, let me see, we are on I was just diagnosed with autism, and it explains everything. So this next one is called My New Reality: How Pregnancy, The Bachelor, a Miscarriage, an Online Cult, and Autism shaped a $149,000 judgment and referral to the county attorney. Oh, snap. You guys ready? Let's do this. Oh, we got a very serious photo here. Oh, no, it's doing that thing. It's doing that thing. Hold on. No. Nope. Hold on. Let me fix this. So strange how it does that. All right, let me open this in a separate tab. How peculiar. Okay. My New Reality: How Pregnancy, The Bachelor, a Miscarriage, an Online Cult, and Autism shaped a $149,000 judgment and referral to the county attorney. So again, first of all, not to be mean, why do her legs and the horse's legs look identical? Okay. He's your husband's cousin, Stephanie. No way. I'm so glad you are going to cover Greg Gillespie's case. He's my husband's cousin. We don't know him that well, but see him about once a year. He's such a good guy. Wow, what a small world. You should have him. You should be, listen, that one time a year I'm sure is about to happen, given it's the holidays. And I'm selfishly going to suggest you should totally say, hey, you should come on to my friend's channel because she's covering the Laura case. And given that new and another indictment, right? 7 new charges, you should just come on and share your story in a selfish type of way. I'm going to ask. Hey, Melissa, my fellow Melissa. No, you did not miss anything. Damn, I can only see your handles, guys, and it's really throwing me off. I have to try to judge by the pictures who you guys are. Oh, Kato in the hood. But for real, doesn't it look like her legs and the horse's legs are identical? Like her legs look extremely thin, but so do the horses. And basically just the little kneecaps buckle out. You see what I'm seeing? But I digress. Okay, here we go. Actually, everything kind of about them looks the same. The hair swooped on the sides. They both have a zipper. Do you see? They both have their zipper. Yo, if I'm not mistaken, they are one and the same. Definitely, Stephanie. Let me know how it goes. I'm not gonna, like, this is kind of eerily similar. They both have the zipper down the pelvic area. This is pretty crazy. Okay. Look at both of them have their boots. Everything it's the same. Okay. So Laura writes, autism made me second guess myself, but it was the court's refusal to dismiss my paternity case after I miscarried that made me second guess the legal system. As my author friend said, if I pitched this story as fiction, publishers would say it's just too far-fetched. Ma'am, I call bullshit already. Your author friend, why don't you just name drop them? Why don't you just name drop them if this author friend truly does exist? Or maybe they don't, hence why you have to refer to them as author friend, right? They are the twins we've been talking about. You are right. Hey, Tess. So, growing up, I was the quiet one in a family of big personalities. Wait, I swear I read this. Both of my parents were talk show hosts, able to command. Wait, no, this is. No, we read this one. Why is this one like identical to the last one? We read this one. Wait. Yeah. Hold on. I'm getting very confused because this isn't the same title as the last one. Medium blogs. No, what? This is a different one. Okay, hold on. This last one ends. So I leave you with this. Yeah, I remember that. So I leave you with this. So let me see about this one. Wait, I'm so confused because it's not the exact same, but it starts the same. One second. Victims of Owens. And I'm just going to show you guys. Okay. So this is the one that we last read. I was just diagnosed with autism, and it explains everything. Growing up, I was the shy one in the family. So look, I have high functioning autism. We read all of this. And now this next one. Growing up, I was the quiet one in the family. Let me try to just skip. I guess I'm gonna try to go by memory of what sounds familiar and what doesn't. How strange. Okay. So as an adult, people assumed I was outgoing because I pushed myself into situations that demanded confidence. I went to workout classes every day, started a podcast, and even gave a TEDx talk, but none of it came naturally. I thought that if I kept pushing myself, I'd eventually find the confidence that always seemed just out of reach. But no matter how much effort I put in, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, something everyone else seemed to have effortlessly. The truth is, I missed out on so much and I hated myself for it. I would cancel plans with friends. Yes, we read this, not because I didn't want to be there, but because the thought of navigating social interaction drained me. She is plagiarizing herself. Yeah, we read that. Certain sounds, even ones that weren't particularly loud, could overwhelm me to the point of feeling physically sick. It was like my senses went into overdrive. Sudden changes, even small ones, would throw me into a state of panic. Something as simple as a change in plans or a shift in my daily routine would derail me completely. I relied on routine, even down to eating the same meals for weeks on end because it brought a sense of stability. At the time, I didn't understand why this was happening, and it made me feel trapped. Over the years, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and ADHD. Each label explained a part of what I was feeling, but it never felt like the complete picture. It wasn't until I was diagnosed with autism that everything started to make sense. Suddenly, there was a name for the way I experienced the world. It's not something I ever thought would describe me. I connect deeply with people. I understand humor, emotions, and social cues. I feel everything, sometimes too much. I make eye contact. Girl, you're putting people on the spectrum in a whole box of labels. I don't like that. I didn't realize that it could look so different for everyone. As my doctor explained, the saying goes, quote, if you've met one person on the autism spectrum, you've met one person on the autism spectrum. In other words, no two people with autism are the same. Doesn't that apply everywhere, though, to be fair? For me, it's losing sleep over what the world considers small decisions. It's freezing, overthinking, retreating when life feels too overwhelming. It's second guessing yourself into paralysis, convinced that somehow doing nothing feels safer than doing the wrong thing. In May 2023, I found myself staring at a positive home pregnancy test after a year of celibacy, and my life unraveled. It was 11 days after I hooked up with the then realtor Clayton Echard, former star of The Bachelor. Suddenly, the structure and predictability that kept me grounded was gone, and I froze. I went to urgent care to get the pregnancy confirmed, which it was, and informed Echard about the 2 positive test results. I even provided him access to my patient portal so he could verify. Hey, so there's that. Hey, J13. In response, he texted me a list of options like it was a business transaction. Yeah, see, I remember this again. Why is she repeating this? Coming from the bitch who had a dating contract. Ah, she would edit them when she saw the YouTube coverage, and people have made sure we have every version. Got it. I would like for you to get an abortion. If you do not do that, that's your choice. Either you'll take 100% custody of the child or it will be put up for adoption, he later said. Then later, one of us will have 100% custody. Then there will be no joint custody. He said that he would talk to me when the time came to take a prenatal paternity test. Weeks later, Echard invited me to his apartment saying, I feel God is telling me we should meet up. I thought we could finally talk about the pregnancy as adults and make a decision together. When I arrived, he immediately handed me a pregnancy test he had purchased and asked me to take it in front of him. I did. It was positive. Again. In his deposition, Echard admitted to buying the test, but later tried to dismiss this. Okay, we read all this. I don't see as a liar anymore. Okay. Within hours, though, everything changed again. Echard told me that he had prayed about it and received an answer, that we were not meant to be together in any capacity. And then he added, God has spoken to me that it is your body and your choice. Therefore, I am not going to ask for you to get an abortion. However, that is my preference personally. Given his sudden change of heart, I thought maybe he was overwhelmed, uncertain, or just needed time to process everything. In my mind, having two parents involved was the best scenario. And if he had been open to seeing if we could figure out how to be parents together, or at least co-parent peacefully, there was a chance he might reconsider. So over the next couple of months, I tried to reopen the conversation, hoping we could find common ground. Bitch, reopen the conversation? Did you say you tried to reopen the... You smothered him, blackmailed him, extorted him, tried to force him into legal contracts, and he never even had sex with you. Like, there is something very unhinged and very wrong with you on a different level. Thank you, Jamie Clayton, for being a member for 10 months. You're almost at the 1 year. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope she gets time for all of her victims. Add it all up, baby. She needs to be sitting next to Tisha. Imagine those two together. Oh my goodness. Like the lies that those two could create. I later learned through Echard's deposition that his promises were never real. My attorney asked, did you text her saying you were going to give her a chance? Clayton said, yes. Well, what did you mean by that? My attorney asked. Echard replied, well, she said she wouldn't have an abortion unless I dated her. So at that point, I had no reason to be truthful. I told her I'd give her a chance so I could find a way to potentially end the situation. When you say give her a chance, you mean giving her a chance for a relationship? My attorney clarified. Yes, Echard admitted. It was a lie. I had no intention of giving her a chance. I just told her what she wanted to hear to see if she'd go away. And by that, you mean to see if she'd move forward with an abortion? My attorney asked. Yeah, Echard confirmed. Pause. Even if all this is true, guess what? He's allowed to be a piece of shit. And I'm not saying he is, but for the sake of the argument, he is allowed to be a deadbeat, want nothing to do with you, not owning up to his responsibilities. It doesn't make it okay, but he's allowed to be. And what you did is still wrong. He's allowed to say, hey, I don't want kids. I'm not telling you what to do. It's your body, but I prefer if you have an abortion. It may be hard to hear. Okay. And this is entertaining the thought of you being pregnant, which we know is not even true. But if it were, he's allowed to say that. He's allowed to say, hey, I give up my parental rights. I don't want to be in this kid's life. Again, doesn't make it easy, but you can't fucking force someone to care. You can't force someone to smile and act happy. And this is exactly what Letitia Stout did. And that's why it's very crazy to think about where Laura would end up and what victim she would have down the line. Okay. Just like Letitia Stout, if you essentially play house with me and pretend to be happy and loving together, I will tell you where your child is. And now we all know his child was deceased by her own hands. But that's what it's giving me. It's giving me those vibes right there. Months later, Clayton leaked those private conversations to the public, and the newly formed Justice for Clayton cult latched onto what they sensationalized as a dating contract. Bitch, it was. Like there is no fucking pretty little bow around it. It 100% was a dating contract. They distorted my genuine effort to find a way forward with the pregnancy, twisting it into a narrative that I was trying to extort him into a relationship. You were, like, straight up, no way about it, not being exaggerating. That is literally what that is defined as. Greg's messages could seem like he's a total piece of shit to someone who doesn't know the whole story, but she edited what she filed with the court and the good guys into reacting. Oh, 100%. But again, like that's, hi, Quippy and Skeletons. Hey, Chris Jenner. That's the whole point, though. Even if these messages were all exposed and it all was true, hey, I want nothing to do with you. You're a one-night stand. You're a crazy bitch. You don't have to like it. It doesn't make that behavior okay, but you're allowed to. The same way that a woman is allowed to say, hey, I want to keep this child if you were pregnant. A man has a right to say, I don't. Now I can't stop you from having the child, but I can give up my parental rights. They have that right. You can't force someone to do something, but that's how you know you're not pregnant, because 9 out of 10 mothers, a woman becomes a mom the moment they're pregnant. A man becomes a father the moment their child is born. That's usually how it goes. And I resonate with that because it makes sense, but you can't force someone to care. You can't force someone. Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. In an effort to get him involved in the decision-making process, again, you can't imagine forcing a guy or a girl to like smile and come to dinner and come to these doctor's appointments, act happy. Like, you can't control that. In an effort to get him involved in the decision-making process, I invited Clayton and his family to 5 OBGYN appointments. My mother had even reached out to his parents to try to include them in the process. I hoped that hearing directly from a doctor might make the situation more real for him, might push him to finally engage with the pregnancy. Maybe, just maybe, he'd step up. Bitch, for the mediator you paid for, they suggested you call the doctor's office you had the sonogram performed at on speaker in that room with just you, the mediator, and Clayton, and just ask them to confirm you did indeed get an ultrasound done at this facility. You wouldn't. So knock it off with the I invited his whole family and Uncle Jimmy from Illinois to come and have this sonogram done on a projector. That's bullshit. You couldn't even so much as make a call and confirm you were seen at that facility. But each time, he and his family showed no interest in attending, and I couldn't bring myself to face it alone. I canceled those appointments, suffocated by the thought of sitting there by myself, overwhelmed by the uncertainty and the pressure. Maybe part of me wasn't ready to face it either. And again, this shows that you weren't a mom, because at that point, your ass would be going because it's about your child. You being a mom wouldn't be contingent on Clayton. Do you know how many women out there have children and their men, baby daddies, are nowhere to be found? You have a whole lot of excuses, Laura. Thanks, Tiffany, for 20 months. In my opinion, Laura will find new ways to try and trap men. 100%. She's dangerous, though. It's the same thing we see with Letitia. You're seeing all these major red flags leading up, and she is dangerous to be out in the community, in my opinion. I wonder what she would have done. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I wonder. And that's the same thing we said with Letitia Harlot, right? When she invited Al to the sonograms, it's like, what would she have done if he actually said, all right, fine, I'll meet you in the morning? But people like her, people like Letitia, do not think about the next part of that lie. What's going to happen when they're caught? They just think about, let me get out of this situation. Then when I get to that part, I'll figure it out then, which is absolutely insanity. Like, if at any point Clayton or his family was like, all right, fine, we're going to go to the appointment, it would have been one reason after another of why it was canceled, why they couldn't show up for whatever reason. And you would think someone would be able to see, hey, how do you think this is going to end? This is obviously going to end only one way. But for whatever reason, people like Laura, people like Letitia, think that they have control. They are desperately trying to control a situation that they have no control of. But what's most bizarre is they are the one who made the situation. It's not like they're in a situation that's out of their hands, right? That just landed in the situation, and they're trying to control something that's not in control. No, they create the situation that is now out of control. Like, it's bizarre. Hey, Wolfie. I know, Wolfie, we got to change it. I already had a shit fit. When it became clear that trying to work things out directly with Clayton wasn't going anywhere, I decided to take a more structured approach. I paid a lawyer $5,000 to step in as a middleman, hoping that with professional guidance, we would come up with a clear parenting plan, something that would provide structure and remove the constant uncertainty. But even with legal help, we made no progress. The retainer ran out in a week, and I was right back where I started again. But pause, again, that mediator, that attorney you paid $5,000 for, suggested, Laura, pick up the phone right now and call the facility you had the sonogram at and put it on speaker. Let Clayton hear. And maybe if he hears this conversation, he won't be so paranoid. And you said no. By that point, Clayton had introduced a new and even more terrifying possibility: him moving out of state and taking full custody. He made it clear, saying, quote, "Don't try to explain to me that I can't move out of state and away from you. I absolutely can," end quote. Yeah, he could if listen, it's different case by case, and a judge may grant someone with full custody to leave. Another judge may not. There's a million and one circumstances. But stop. It's just so bizarre. He goes from not wanting to have any parental rights at all to, yep, now I'm taking full custody. I'm leaving the state. Like, Laura, to even entertain this is just ridiculous. Thank you for 37 months, Tess. That is amazing. It's so scary to see how many of these women are just out here living amongst us. Letitia, Laura, look up Liz Teckenbrock. She's the Florida version. Yikes. Oh, I'm going to have to look that up, Tess. And Tess, I want to, I have to open up messengers and stuff, but I want to talk to you about scheduling the Patreons. I'll be on Patreon this weekend. But I want to do Bohemian Grove with you if you want to do it together. Hi, Kathy Joe. But I researched this and I learned that legally he was wrong. So then what are you worried about, Laura? Filing a paternity case was the only way to ensure that any future decisions, especially something as life-altering as relocation, would have to be done through legal channels. It was my way of safeguarding my right to custody and making sure I wouldn't be cut out of the picture entirely. Bitch, what do you think? Does he seem interested? Number one. Do you think you were just going to spit out these twins and Clayton was just going to take them? You have rights, girl. It's not how it works. But you know what? To be fair, if she was indeed pregnant, yeah, you wouldn't have had custody. That's probably the case. Y'all got me super curious about this Letitia story deep dive. Oh, girl, yeah, and I'm sorry, to be fair, I don't know if you're a girl or a guy, but I just said girl. But we've covered Letitia in depth on my channel. But to give you a rundown, Letitia Stout is, she took the life of her stepson in a very brutal way. Okay. She essentially killed him 3 different ways. She stabbed him over 20 times, shot him in the face, and blunt force trauma. But what makes Letitia unique in her horrific behavior is the amount of lies that she put out there in the period of time from the time she murdered Gannon, her stepson, to the time that she was ultimately arrested. And, you know what, let me correct myself. The lies never stopped, but that is where really the highlighted portion of all of her lies. Lies that in no possible fucking way could you ever think you could get out of this, okay? But she did. Things very similar to Laura, claiming she was pregnant when she wasn't, asking her husband to go to the sonogram appointments when they wouldn't have existed, taking a fake polygraph test to prove she didn't hurt her stepchild, and then went as far as trying to Google a full facial transplant near me, like you do when you're looking up, hey, I need a good Chinese place near me that has killer lo mein. Find a Chinese restaurant near me. No. She did find full facial transplant near me, or find an immigrant who is willing to go to prison for me. Okay, that's Letitia Stout. Okay, we got Tisha right here. She is, I can't even. So yeah, everyone who's already been established on this channel is very, very familiar with Letitia Stout. And I think that's what a lot of us find very interesting about Laura, is she very, very much reminds us of Letitia Stout. So the same way that you guys who follow Laura are so excited hearing our genuine reactions to this situation in real time, we would be just as excited for you guys to take a trip down Letitia Stout rabbit hole and see those lies when it comes to a horrific child murderer. Now, again, it's scary because Laura having the same patterns that she does Letitia, you think, wow, if she didn't get caught, if she doesn't get stopped, she could end up taking a life just like she did, Letitia Stout did. Yeah, Google was her therapist. Okay. Freaking Letitia Stout.
No.
Yes.
No, sir. I mean, John, no.
This community with the memes, I love it. Totally return. Oh, you have to have little sarcasm to be at this channel. Like I said, we usually cover, this does fall into true crime, but usually we cover homicides. But we have to have a little bit of sarcasm because it's just too dark and too heavy. And if you're someone that can't find certain humor not at the situations or disrespect to the victims versus just because it's just too heavy. If you don't, then this isn't the channel for you. Okay. With that in mind, I decided that the next logical step was to file a paternity case. I thought it would force Clayton to come up with his own idea of a schedule, see that the court encouraged joint custody so kids could have both parents in their lives, even if the relationship between those parents didn't work out, and also compel him to take a prenatal paternity test. Arizona allows you to file while pregnant, and you don't even need proof, but I had it. It seemed like a no-brainer to file. After filing, I paid $725 for a prenatal paternity test at the lab he had chosen, fully expecting him to schedule his portion. But he didn't. He ignored calls and emails from the lab to pick a date, and I was forced to get a refund. Another attempt at getting answers met with silence. I didn't want to go to the media to pressure Clayton to take accountability, but it felt like my only option at that point. Bitch, I didn't want to go to the media and like blast him, but like it was the only option. I wasn't seeking attention or fame. I even asked to remain anonymous. Okay, see, again, you say I asked to remain anonymous. You said in your injunction against harassment for Clayton, right? Oh, they found me. They put my name out there. Yet you also posted a Medium article in the beginning that it's the first article. Oh, I am the anonymous woman. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. So you can't have it all ways. And I wasn't after his money. Far from it. He had been my realtor, and if he'd followed through with submitting the 2 offers he claimed to have made on behalf months before, he would have earned his commissions. But that's another story. I hoped public pressure would compel him to take a DNA test and finally engage in a conversation about a custody plan. Judge Mata had denied my motion to compel the DNA test, and I understood that as her refusing to force him to take it. The situation was spiraling out of control, and I needed answers from him. No, you didn't actually. And again, this is pretending you were pregnant. He didn't owe you anything. You can't take someone to court because they may be a deadbeat or a shitty ex. That's not how it fucking works. Anyone got a bra I could borrow? Yeah, Laura does. Wait till we scroll down a little bit. Yep, Samantha, yeah. Exactly. This was her only opportunity but again, when you try to look at the bigger picture, you try to see a few steps ahead and like, Laura, where were you going with this? And she genuinely thought she could force these men to date her and then get rid of the baby, whether it's abortion or miscarry, and then just continue on. Why don't you just try or go on Plenty of Fish? Try Tinder. Try these apps that people are seeking relationships. Like, you don't have to do this entire shuck and jive or whatever it's called every time you see a guy you like. When the news hit the press, you mean when you hit the press, Clayton denied that our one-night stand resulted in a pregnancy, and everyone seemed to believe him. Why wouldn't they? He was a former lead on The Bachelor, and apparently because he had handed out roses on national TV 2 years ago, he was someone that the public thought they could trust. Meanwhile, I was painted as the manipulative liar. The irony? The Daily Beast once called Clayton the biggest fuckboy in Bachelor history, yet no one seemed to question his version of events. Pause. What does it say, Laura, about you if Clayton Echard was labeled the biggest fuckboy in Bachelor history, yet he wouldn't even fuck you?
What?
I'm just saying.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Like, he literally said, yeah, I'm not attracted to you sober. It's brutal. It was like, yeah, like you, listen, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Laura, okay? And so I'm not saying you're ugly, but my dick will not, and I repeat, will not be attracted to you. But Laura likes to. And thank you, J13. She likes to make it about, oh, well, he finished twice. Yeah, in your mouth. Does that count? Does that count? Like that? I mean, I guess it could count, but like, don't act like you're patting yourself on the fucking back for something that it really wouldn't have took much. It really wouldn't have took much, okay? The biggest fuckboy in Bachelor history, yet no one seemed to question his version of events. This was the same man who, on the Vile Files, admitted that when I came over that night, we took our clothes off almost immediately and didn't put them back on until the next morning. He even talked openly about naked grinding with me and how he had finished not once, twice. See, you see how she did it again? Girl, again, he was able to close his eyes in this scenario. Okay. Like, first of all, you're not doing justice to yourself by saying, like, yeah, I ripped my clothes off the moment I walked in, which I'm not slut shaming. Do your thing, but don't be acting, right? Like you're uncovering Clayton with something. You sucked his dick. You gave him a blowjob twice. And I don't trust that you didn't like cup that cum in your mouth and run to the bathroom like he said you did. You ran right to the bathroom number 2 time and tried to do a little turkey baster in. Okay. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hi, Tracy. Yeah. Like he was traveling through a DMT trip, probably. He was on those gummies. I'm thinking about kind of like a Joe Rogan experience. Like, it's crazy, man. Like he was traveling through a different dimension in his mind. You were just the mouthpiece. Okay. Willingly. That's all right, but like knock it off. Like it's not something to be, oh, I made him finish twice. Okay. And he wouldn't fuck you. The biggest fuckboy in history did not want to fuck you. Yeah, she brought like a mini syringe or some shit. Like, yeah, ayahuasca trip, whatever that shit is. In his deposition, he admitted that he wanted to have sex, but said that I didn't want to. Later, he even suggested, but wait. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Is this when she's, because, there were periods of time where she claimed rape and then there were other periods where she didn't. Gobble, gobble. Sorry, guys. Later, Clayton even suggested that I might have injected myself with his semen after running to the bathroom. If I had wanted to get pregnant and trap him, why would I have told him I didn't want to have sex? The lengths he claims I went to are absurd. But true. Okay. Yes, you're admitting they're absurd, yet you've done it, number one. But number two, are you not claiming rape at this point in the story? Because you're admitting that you didn't want to have sex. He did, acting as if it didn't happen. Little slips, Miss Ma'am, little slips. The Justice for Clayton group is far more than just a fan base. It operates like a cult, driven by a disturbing mix of groupthink, obsession, and a shared goal to discredit me at all costs. What began as a group of supporters rallying around a reality TV star has evolved into a coordinated and relentless campaign to tear down my life, fueled by blind loyalty and anger. Their behavior goes beyond passionate fandom. They function like a hive mind, feeding off each other's rage and amplifying each rumor, lie, or half-truth they come across. They're not interested in facts or truth. only in maintaining the narrative they've constructed to justify their attacks. Any evidence that challenges their beliefs is dismissed or twisted to fit their agenda. This is real Darvo shit, guys. Everything she claims happening to her. And I absolutely do believe that there were times that people went too far on the internet and contacted someone in her real life. I'm sure that happened, but like she's flipping it around and making the real victim the perpetrator. That's true. Yo, that's true. Soulful Shauna, and I'm so sorry I have to go by your handle. We saw the woman get pregnant through jail vents, prison vents. Okay, so it happens. Those little swimmers can stand a chance in the right elements. Clayton himself has acknowledged the obsession that Justice for Clayton has with me. In an interview, he said, quote, "The community of people that keeps uncovering and supporting me is tracking her every movement. Welcome to the internet." In another interview, he added, "So I can go on about my day-to-day while these people are like, oh, we found this about her." And it's like, sorry, like you brought this on yourself. Is he wrong though? He's not wrong. What started as anxiety over the pregnancy became fear of the world outside my door. Echard even had the audacity to mock the fact that I felt unsafe, saying that's her fault in an interview. The stress from the pregnancy was already overwhelming, but the harassment that followed, it made it impossible to feel safe or stable. Online content creators have played a significant role in exploiting the Justice for Clayton narrative, creating thousands of hours of monetized content that feeds into the obsession of their following. These creators make videos, podcasts, and social media posts dissecting every aspect of my life. They depend on the community's dedication to generate income, and the group, in turn, uses this content as validation for their beliefs. It's a terrifying cycle where my life, my trauma, is being monetized and used as a tool to deepen their cult-like devotion to Clayton. But it was fine when you were weaponizing it against Clayton, right? You're doing it right now in this post. Just because you don't have the same following and support doesn't make what you're doing any different than what you're calling out. Hey, John. They created hundreds of pages of forensic level timelines, digging through my past and present, even asking for donations to support their so-called research. For example, they dug up an article about me from my high school alumni magazine, which mentioned that during my junior year, I had slipped on black ice in front of school and had a very rare injury called a Lisfranc's fracture dislocation. Of course you did. My classmates witnessed the accident. I had 2 surgeries and I was on crutches for months. Yet Justice for Clayton claimed that I fabricated the entire thing, even researching the weather from that day in an attempt to prove that black ice wasn't possible. Oh God, the internet, man. They are thorough. They are thorough. My former landlord, joined in on the harassment, posting a photo of my sandwich order from 5 years ago as evidence that I'm strange for asking for mustard on both sides. No way. No way. Her landlord randomly had a photo from a sandwich order from 5 years prior. Why did the landlord keep it? What? But they're making it seem like I'm strange for asking for mustard on both sides. Like, all right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, Laura. I think that both sides of a sandwich should be properly condimented. I'll give you that. And it is a little bit strange if he just had your receipt from 5 years ago. Okay. I'll give you that one. Okay. But who's more bizarre here? Me or the landlord who took a photo of my sandwich order and held on to it for a decade? Okay, fine, Laura. Fine. One for Laura. A half point. Because it's sandwich related. A half point for Laura. I will give it to you. When the cult wasn't stalking me, they were tormenting those closest to me. They contacted my sister's workplace. That's not cool. Emailing Justice for Clayton propaganda. They followed my 78-year-old father's ex-girlfriend from college on social media. One made death threats against my mother on Facebook, posting, "Everyone shoot that," followed by what they believed was her home address. Again, if that's true, I don't support that at all. Not cool. And I do believe there are random people on the internet who will absolutely take things too far. I don't know the truth in these circumstances, but it wouldn't surprise me. The jokes wrote themselves with the two BJs and twins and both. Oh, everything's in doubles and both sides mustards. Yeah, she has a thing for the twos, man. They tracked every friend I made on social media, messaged all of my father's Facebook friends, and turned every old or new connection I had into another opportunity to spread their message. They fixated on a local politician who once gave me an award, launching a campaign of harassment simply because of his past connection to me. One JFCer ominously stated, "He definitely needs to be voted out for propping up a serial liar and abuser," while another followed up with, "I encourage anyone and everyone to reach out and attempt to enlighten him." Yet another suggested, "A public withdrawal of his support for her would be nice." Sorry, I was trying to do different personalities. Okay. They filed false reports to Adult Protective Services alleging my mother and I were abusing my Faja. They called in multiple prank welfare checks on me to the police, not because they were truly concerned about me, but because they knew they could later obtain the body cam footage and watch as content creators exploited it online in monetized videos. Pause. Okay. I could believe that that's something that could happen for sure. Except everyone I've watched so far, you have admitted in the body cam footage to posting some type of suicidal ideation or threat to yourself that would lead to the concern for said person to call. They manipulated online search results so that when people Googled my name, they were directed straight to Justice for Clayton content. They went even further by emailing a warning flyer about me to my gym, trying to isolate me from the Stairmaster and the one place that gave me any sense of peace. Their strategy was clear. If they repeated a lie enough times, people would start to believe it. That's how they buried the truth, by constantly hammering home their false narrative until it was all anyone saw. And I promise you, if you like or comment on anything in support of me, they will contact you too. I tragically miscarried, and I sought to dismiss the paternity case in December 2023. At that point, Clayton hadn't incurred any legal fees. There was no logical reason for the case to continue. But instead of allowing me to dismiss it, Clayton chose to hire a lawyer for the very first time, may I add, and object to its dismissal. Clayton's attorney, Greg Woodnick, was someone I had an acrimonious. Wait, hold on, I gotta do that. Acrimonious. My brain's not braining with that one. Acrimonious history with. In 2021, he had represented my ex, Greg Gillespie, in a civil case where I sued Gillespie for coercing me into having an abortion. This is why I'm so interested to go down, because I don't even know how you could litigate that. But he didn't win that case. And now, with Clayton's case, it was clear that Woodnick saw an opportunity to go after me again. Pause again. Lawyers don't care that much unless there's a reason to care. I could totally understand if they felt a prior client got injustice and knew you were lying and the system failed them and wanting that would be a motivating driving factor, 100%. But just to have a petty opinion of you and like, hey, I just want to go out of my way to screw you. No, they don't have time. Do you have any idea how busy lawyers are? They don't have time for that. One of Woodnick's first moves was to demand that I sign an affidavit admitting that I was never pregnant by Clayton. When I refused to sign it, his response was to accuse my attorney of failing to guide me to what he called the obvious exit ramp. He made it sound as though this entire nightmare could disappear if I simply signed my name to a lie. In his words, there is a very easy way for her to end this situation. My so-called exit, according to him, was to admit that I had made horrible choices and allegations that were not predicated on fact or science. That's literally an exit ramp for you. See, you don't have to like the truth, but it doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. Hi, Rhonda. He went even further, saying that if I didn't sign it, it would proceed to an evidentiary hearing in court where he said her exposure is testimony and evidence before the court that she was never pregnant by anyone. How could he honestly claim that I was never pregnant by anyone, especially when he'd been provided medical proof of my prior pregnancy with his former client, Gillespie? Just the fact that she's got all these restraining orders and court cases against her and all these exes are red flags for sure, major. And that's why, like, hey, Adrienne, with her mom and stuff, even if I want to look through the mom lens, which I could understand standing by and supporting your child kind of no matter what. That doesn't mean you partake or you don't hold them accountable. And we talk about that a lot in the aspect of when we see someone charged or incarcerated with taking the lives of another, having their family still have that relationship. But if your child, every relation she has, she is being abused, she needs to seek a court or she is being stopped. At that point, you have to stop and go, and like a pregnancy resulted and then never was it followed by an actual child? Like, you have to stop and ask. But her mom seems to have way more involvement. But he didn't stop there. He escalated his rhetoric, insisting that I needed to get into treatment to address whatever has caused her to live a life enmeshed in delusion, and declare that I did exactly what I have been caught doing and I'm committed to getting healthy. The alternative, he said menacingly, is that her behavior has been entirely predicated on toxicity and maliciousness, and she is the hook for attorney's fees. Of course I didn't sign it. Bizarrely, Judge Julie Ann Matta of the Maricopa County Superior Court granted Woodnick's objection to my motion to dismiss, extending the case for another 8 agonizing months. If we had been 2 ordinary people working minimum wage jobs with no legal fees incurred, and I tried to dismiss a paternity case after a tragic miscarriage, would the judge not have allowed me to? Wouldn't she have shown compassion, not contempt towards me? Wouldn't she have sought to save the court's time and effort and granted a dismissal when there was no longer a need for the court to make any determination with regard to paternity and parental issues? So pause. I love how she's throwing in, right, that she's being discriminated against. you're being discriminated against. First of all, I don't want to hear shit about you even referencing having to be working a minimum wage job and just two ordinary people, right? Implying that what, you're extraordinary, okay? It takes no talent to be born to a rich parent. Second, the answer is yes. If it was two ordinary people working two minimum wage jobs in this situation, and they had lawyers, yes. The likelihood that that would happen, though, is low because they probably wouldn't be able to afford a lawyer to be able to do the investigation to prove the person was lying. It has zero to do with you miscarrying and trying to dismiss the case, and all to do with you fucking lying and filing the case to begin with. Unfortunately, a normal person doesn't have the money to be able to fight those things in court. Clayton's fame undoubtedly kept the case alive, dragging me through a legal battle that should never have lasted this long. In February 2024, Woodnick asked the court to expand the scope of the case to include my medical records dating back to 2020. He argued that this was necessary to establish a pattern of behavior, specifically to suggest that I had a history of faking pregnancies. To my shock, Judge Mata granted this request, allowing Woodnick to delve into irrelevant parts of my past that had no connection to my 2023 pregnancy with Echard. All these other guys are lucky she finally went after someone with a following who could draw attention to what she's doing. That wasn't very smart of her. You're totally right. Like, and you don't want to say thankful it happened to Clayton, not thankful it happened to anyone, right? But it was because of his massive following. And the internet, man, the internet will do what the internet does. And we've seen it very much in true crime cases, okay? They will go to the ends of the earth too far, 100% too far at times, and dig up every little piece. But what's crazy with Laura is Clayton didn't immediately bring this public, right? You see their interactions, and he warned her, like, I just want this to go away. I don't want to say a word. Like, just leave me alone. And she brought it out. She brought it to the public. And then in turn, yeah, he had to speak on it. And naturally, now his following is going to do some digging. And when you do some digging, Lord, oh Lord, what does that uncover? That's the internet, though. That's what they do. And you can't get shit away from the internet. You can't hide something from the internet. Good luck. Right, Harley. No, not glad it happened to Clayton versus just glad it happened to someone with a following that brought to light what she was doing. Because if she chose someone who didn't have a following and wasn't known in the public eye, it unfortunately wouldn't have gained traction. It wouldn't have. And I really do think, Harley, like, there's a good chance if she was lying to this extent, there's a good chance in the future she really could have gotten pregnant. And what this crazy bitch would do if she had an actual child to weaponize is terrifying. Oh, wow. Some golf girl. Yeah, I heard that parents had to file bankruptcy and stuff. So Laura says, I was forced to sign a HIPAA release, giving him access to 3 years of medical records. My attorney even reminded Woodnick that the records from my confirmed pregnancy with Gillespie in 2021 were easily accessible through One Medical, which Woodnick knew from the Gillespie case. That should have been enough to dispel his desire to make a claim of a fabricated pregnancy pattern. And it wasn't. It wasn't. Look who got charged with 7 more charges. 14, baby, and counting. Last month, though, I contacted One Medical, and I was stunned to learn that Woodnick had not even tried to obtain my previous pregnancy records from them for the purpose of this paternity case. It became clear Whitnick didn't want the truth. He wanted to let his false narrative linger that I had fabricated pregnancies. And I had to let it linger. And I'm such a fool for you. My pregnancy with Gillespie in 2021, which was the basis for the civil case I filed against him for abortion coercion, was confirmed directly to Gillespie by One Medical after he demanded I take a pregnancy test there. Pause again. That would never happen. That would never, there ain't no way, and I have not gone down that rabbit hole yet, but there ain't no way he could be making demands inside of a medical facility specifically surrounding pregnancy. That's not how it's done. And they are trained and they have so many precautions specifically to avoid those types of situations. And guess what? When you have an abortion, you have to do a counseling session first. And it is usually performed right in that office. But guess who is not allowed to be with you? Anyone else. Anyone else, because they need to make sure you are in the right state of mind, that you are not being coerced, and that you really understand the ramifications of what you're going about and doing. And this is something you genuinely want to do. So you could knock that shit off right now. And I don't know how that flew in a court case. When I hesitated about going through with an abortion, which he had demanded, his response was vicious. Take the fucking pills, Laura, Gillespie said. When I still was reluctant, his threats escalated. Stop fucking saying it and do it, followed by a promise to call the cops and make my life fucking miserable if I didn't comply. These aren't allegations. He doesn't even deny sending those messages. Well, and again, I haven't explored this avenue much yet, but if they're anything like the exchange of messages between you and Michael Maricini, I could imagine he would get to the point where he's like, just take the fucking pills. Because at least with Michael Maricini, you had allegedly taken abortion pills, 7 times, and had 4 surgical abortions for the same pregnancy. And even if that were true, he didn't force you to do anything. He's allowed to be a piece of shit. 2 things can both be true and exist at the same time in this universe. Greg could be a piece of shit. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying Greg could be a piece of shit. Clayton can be a piece of shit. And you're still wrong. 2 things can be true. You can't take someone to court because they hurt your feelings. After enduring that level of coercion and manipulation, I filed for and was granted 2 orders of protection against Gillespie. One in 2021 and another renewed in 2022. Still active today. In the request for protection, I asked the court to prevent him from contacting me, even through pseudonyms on social media and pseudonyms on social media, and from watching my videos to track my whereabouts. Sorry, you're allowed to watch someone's public. If you, like me as a creator, I can't stop even someone I have an order of protection on. I can't stop you from watching my public videos. It's a public platform. The court granted the order, stating they found reasonable cause to believe that Gillespie had either committed or was likely to commit domestic violence against me. I was stunned to learn that Michael Maricini, a man I dated from 2016 to 2017, was also listed on Whitnick's witness list. Not only do I have a California CLETS domestic violence restraining order against Maricini, How's that one look, by the way, Laura? But he had no relevant information about the 2023 case with Echard. Who are you to determine that? Are you a lawyer? Are you a fucking lawyer? Laura, Laura the lawyer. Who the fuck are you to determine what may or may not be relevant to a case? The only thing Maricini had in common with my situation with Clayton was that I had been pregnant by him as well. But that was 7 years prior. In 2016, when I became pregnant, come on, guys, let's take a stroll down memory lane, okay? 2016, I became pregnant. Maricini accompanied me to Planned Parenthood for a medication abortion. He later admitted this during a deposition. Yeah, did he go in? A few months after, we went on a trip to Iceland. During the flight, a stranger overheard how Maricini spoke to me and discreetly slipped me a note, telling me I was being abused and urging me to seek help. She left her email address, and after Maricini and I broke up, I contacted her. She later provided a declaration for my restraining order against him. Yeah, I saw the one you linked, and it wasn't signed. All it is it's typed up, not the way that a normal declaration would be typed up, by the way, but it wasn't signed. In her statement, she wrote, "Throughout the flight, I overheard Mr. Maricini speaking to Miss Owens in a tone of voice I would characterize as scary. And based on what he was saying to her, I felt that she was in a frightening situation and needed to get out. He was menacing that I felt her life was at stake if she stayed with him." End quote. How the fuck would that person even know that anyway? Like, come on. Like, that's a lot of assumptions from someone who just sat like in front of you during a flight. This random act of kindness became the foundation for my TEDx talk, The Life-Saving Power of Kindness to Strangers, available on all YouTube platforms, and was later featured in Chicken Soup for the Soul's 30th anniversary edition. The Justice for Clayton cult has relentlessly contacted TEDx and the editors of Chicken Soup for the Soul, demanding that my stories be removed. I'm sorry, you mean like you did to Clayton? Oh, that doesn't count though, right? Claiming that the airplane stranger must have misunderstood why Maricini was treating me that way because they were there, right? Maricini later gave a 2.5-hour interview. We're going to be going over that, by the way, to one of the Justice for Clayton content creators, claiming it was his first time telling his story. First time. He's told it to a judge twice, and the case file is over 200 pages long. Pause. Stating something is in court is nowhere near the same thing as coming out and not being limited. You are very limited in court. You are asked very direct questions. You give your testimony yes at points, but you are limited. So unless he had spoken out publicly once, and especially after it's happened with 2 other guys after him, yeah, that was his first time actually speaking out. Oh, hell yeah. That soup got cold. My attorney, David Gringus, filed multiple motions to exclude Maricini as a witness in the Echard case, arguing that his inclusion violated my rights under the Violence Against Women VAWA. The restraining order I have against Maricini was issued by the San Francisco Superior Court, and for him to legally travel from California to Arizona, even for the purpose of appearing in court, would have required a modification from the issuing court. Without following these proper legal steps, Maricini's interstate travel to attend the hearing would violate federal law, as it was done with intent to disregard the order. Oh, yeah? Oh, is that so? He sat right in that courtroom, surrounded by bailiffs and the judge. And the only one who seemed to have the issue was you, Laura. Additionally, Woodnick hadn't issued a valid subpoena for Maricini, making his involvement even more inappropriate and legally unjustified. Our requests to exclude him were denied by Judge Mata, and both he and Gillespie came to the June 2024 hearing, supposedly as witnesses, but they never testified. Yeah, Laura, because they were on a severe time restraint. You remember hearing Clayton get questioned. My God, it was like, blah, 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 blah. All right, go, time. They're there if the need, and they had time and justice to be served. I guarantee they wanted to watch that. Hi, Lisa. Prior to the hearing, Woodnick concocted a press release where he referred to my prior pregnancies as sham pregnancies. He also said claims of a doctor confirming the pregnancy are patently false. A telemed video appointment with a neurologist is not pregnancy confirmation. It isn't. Any telemed appointment does not fucking count. You can't confirm shit in a telemed visit. This was blatantly untrue. Woodnick knew the pregnancy had been confirmed by much more than a telemed appointment with a neurologist. He obtained my blood and urine tests from the 2023 positive pregnancy immediately after I signed the HIPAA release. He had even sent them to Gringus after obtaining them. Despite having this evidence, though, Woodnick chose not to submit it to the court. Pause. Why didn't you? You don't have to wait for the adversary's discovery. You can submit your own discovery. And if you had medical records to show you had a confirmed pregnancy at any fucking facility, why wasn't that shown during a direct examination? When you were up on that witness stand saying, I'm going to need a break, everyone stop loving. Why didn't your own attorney pull up those exhibits? Hey, PH Joy. Ooh, listening from the tub. Nice. The day of the press release was one of the worst during this entire ordeal. I was overwhelmed, not knowing how to defend myself when the truth didn't seem to matter. The press and public wouldn't care about my side of the story. Clayton was the celebrity, and they took Woodnick's word at face value. And why wouldn't they? An attorney is supposed to tell the truth. No, pause. If that's the case, okay, if an attorney is supposed to tell the truth, how the fuck are there ever two sides? Seriously, ask yourself that. How the fuck are there going to be the plaintiff or the state and the defendant? Everyone's telling the truth? Everyone's telling the truth. No, right? There would be no need for defense counsel. On the night before the hearing, the three men, this sounds like an opening to a Christmas story. On the night before the hearing, the three great men, Maricini, Gillespie, and Echard, appeared together in a somber Instagram video, claiming they were my victims and wanted justice, and expressing their hope that I would be prosecuted. Well, that day's come, Laura. It's coming. The audacity was mind-numbing. I have active orders of protection against all three of them. Yet here they were, publicly uniting against me and violating their orders in the process. It was clear they had every reason to try to discredit me. They resented me for obtaining the orders against them. Making me look like a liar and a criminal would undoubtedly help them when their orders came up for the renewal. In the courtroom, Judge Mata seemed unable to separate the facts from, sorry, I'm laughing because I'm like, damn, it's been an hour and a half and we're still on one. We're still on one post. So it's not looking good as far as finishing all these today. In the courtroom, Judge Mata seemed unable to separate the facts from Clayton's celebrity. It felt like his status as the Bachelor overshadowed the legal proceedings, with every ruling coming down in his favor. I wasn't dealing with a fair and legal system anymore. I was up against the influence of his fame. Pause again. So it was fair. It was a fair legal system when you weaponized it against all three men. Then, during these specific legal proceedings, it was no longer fair because every ruling was against you. Oh my God. Sorry, that was my ukulele. Anytime I sit at this desk, something nearly knocks me out, but I full on had to duck and cover for that because that was much louder than the giraffe. Hold on. That nearly took me out. Okay. Death by ukulele. I told you guys it was going to come. I jumped. Well, it knocked over, but it landed still on the top shelf. It didn't come crashing down this time. Yeah, it's the ukulele. It's because I'm a leg shaker. And so anytime I'm sitting, I don't know if any of you guys are like this, my leg is never not shaking. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm just a leg shaker. So when I end up leaning at my desk, it ends up shaking my whole desk. I don't realize I'm doing it though, because I just always do it. But I guess I shake that ukulele until it just comes crashing down like Laura's future. Okay. Where was I? What made it even more unsettling was the involvement of the judge's family. Judge Mata's father sat in the overflow spectator room alongside Clayton's supporters who had tailgated the event, setting up an RV and tent in the courthouse parking lot and serving refreshments. That's funny. Justice for Clayton groupies flew in from all over the country and treated the hearing as if it were the Super Bowl. People who'd spoken to him appeared on video saying the judge's father called the trial a circus and a shit show. Hearsay, bitch, hearsay. To him, apparently watching me be dragged through this ordeal was nothing more than entertainment. And if that weren't enough, Judge Mata's sister followed Clayton on Instagram, making me wonder how impartial she really was. In Judge Mata's ruling, she claimed the petition was not filed in good faith. The petition was not grounded in fact or based on law. The petition was filed for an improper purpose, such as to harass the other party, to cause an unnecessary delay, or to increase the cost of litigation to the other party. Not filed in good faith, not grounded in fact or based on law, filed for an improper purpose to increase the cost of litigation? How? Had she not read nor understood any of the facts we presented? I had tried to drop the case after I miscarried, when Clayton had no legal fees, and Judge Mata refused to let me. Okay, do you not understand how those rulings work? There's categories it could fall under. So I love how she specifically zones in to the cost of litigation increasing of the other party, but she's leaving out the other portion of that, right? Not filed in good faith, not based in law, The petition filed for an improper purpose, such as to harass, cause unnecessarily delay, or to increase the cost of litigation. That is an or. So the other portions of that ruling do apply. You can't just pick and choose. It has to fall under one of those, Laura. Judge Mata ruled, the court finds failure to seek in-person care for a high-risk pregnancy to be both unreasonable and uncreditable. But she didn't understand what this was not a calculated choice. It wasn't avoidance. I had invited Clayton and his family to 5, not 4, not 6, 5 OBGYN appointments, knowing their involvement would make the situation feel more manageable. If they had just agreed to attend, I would have gone without hesitation. For me, autism manifests in ways that can be completely paralyzing, especially when I'm under immense pressure or when my sense of control is jeopardized. In high stress situations, like the uncertainty of an unexpected pregnancy, I freeze. It's not a matter of neglect or avoidance. It's how my brain processes overwhelming fear and anxiety. Decision-making becomes nearly impossible under such intense circumstances. Judge Mata was unaware of my autism diagnosis, as was I at that time. But even without that knowledge, she disregarded the most critical evidence: the positive blood and urine HCG, the pregnancy hormone tests, which the other side never contested, as well as still photos and videos of my visibly pregnant, naked belly. While these facts were unacknowledged in her finding of fact, they appeared to hold no weight in her final ruling, leaving me to question the integrity of the entire process. I'm sorry. It's the blacked out. It's the blacked out brassiere for me that does not show anything anyway. I can't get over it. But again, now all I'm seeing are the horse legs to the left. But this, you can't show your pudge as proof of pregnancy. Pudge is not synonymous with proof of pregnancy. Yes, I will acknowledge the pudge. Your pudge is pudging. But that can be for a variety of reasons. And you are that crazy of a bitch that I could totally expect you to down Miralax, fucking start eating shit that beans are good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart, and start filling and bloating yourself up with air or gas or food or whatever the fuck would be required to put on a couple of pounds in your gut. And that too, Samantha. But on top of that, I've seen very, very, very skinny girls have the ability to push out their stomach to look pregnant, not to do it to trick anyone, but like, look, I'm able to push it out and it looks crazy. That is not proof. That is not scientific at all. You want to go by science? You want her to be the finder of fact, and you want Judge Mata to say, oh, yep, look at that. She was pregnant. No. And to be honest, it doesn't look like a pregnancy belly. That's a fucking burrito. That's a Wednesday night for me. It doesn't look like a pregnancy belly. And you know how you could tell a difference? When it's a pregnancy belly, usually, and I won't say all the time, usually, it's very defined where your body naturally is And then when your stomach starts to protrude, you see the very defined, because it's new. And it's, it's not like you're just putting on weight, and it's kind of like, you see how it's in her hips, like in her side muffin, like areas. That doesn't usually happen right away with pregnancy. Usually it's isolated solely to like the abdomen area, where you can start to see, and very defined contouring lines type of. Yeah, that's a Taco Bell bell. Yeah, that's a cheesy gordita crunch. Ho. All right, you need to just come on. So dramatic. Now, I would like to know the difference in time, because that's definitely the skinniest photo. Which again, she is skinny, but you are that crazy. You are clearly willing to invest in your lies. Yep, exactly. Yeah, or filters. Like, come on. What is she blocking out? I still can't get over this. If that block was not there, it still wouldn't show anything. Ooh, that's too skinny for me. She says present day. Oh, that doesn't count anyway. Verse October 2023. After the miscarriage and enduring extreme stress, I've lost 48 pounds and now weigh 85 pounds. Well, go eat. Go eat. You look like you're about to punch someone. I would too if I wasn't eating. Go eat something. In October, that would have been the same. October would have been the same time that we saw her rubbing that moon bump in that injunction against harassment. And I will say that moon dump was way bigger. That stomach was way bigger. Let me show you. No, not this one. Okay, so keep an eye on this, okay? Get a good look. This is allegedly the same time as when this court hearing was going on. So I know. This was much bigger.
Your Honor, is it possible for me to show Clayton that I am in fact pregnant because he hasn't seen me?
No.
That'll never get old. Right. And not only, it is not specific to her stomach. So you can tell, Miss Ma'am, that this was not, oh, I was that small and I became pregnant. Your arms, your legs, your face is completely different. So that is weight distributed. Look at even your neck. Weight being distributed everywhere, not just pregnant, or else it would be right here. Look at your arms. So, no. The answer is no. Fucking liar. Her ruling went on to state there was a pattern of similar, if not identical, behavior and court involvement, accusing me of a serial fabrications. But where was this so-called pattern? This was the only paternity case I have ever filed. Again, you want to act like a dumb bitch, we'll treat you like a dumb bitch. Follow the bouncy ball. The pattern of behavior is not necessarily you filing to establish paternity in courts. It is you entrapping men with the fabrication of pregnancies that result in an untimely end. No evidence was ever presented to support the accusation that I had faked any pregnancy, past or present. Yet somehow, Judge Mata seemed to treat the unproven claims Woodnick made in his motions as fact. It was as if his filings became the gospel she leaned on to craft her narrative, despite the complete lack of evidence to support it. In the end, Judge Mata gave Clayton and Woodnick what they wanted. She referred me to the Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell's office for possible prosecution and handed down a $149,000 judgment for Clayton's legal fees, despite no fees having been accrued when I tried to dismiss the paternity case after my miscarriage. It was clear. I wasn't being punished for the facts. I was being punished for daring to go up against a former reality TV star. I'm sorry. No. You think Ronnie from the Jersey Shore is going to get fucking special treatment in the court if he knocked up Sammy? You think the judges are like, oh, cats are here, you know, rocking a fucking bump the size of fucking touching the sky? Like, you sound ridiculous. Nobody cares. I highly doubt Judge Mata even fucking I didn't know who Clayton was. I don't watch The Bachelor. I don't need a rose. Like, what? And there is corruption. I won't say corruption doesn't exist. Corruption does exist. But you claiming that this is about corruption, you're wrong, Miss Ma'am. You're wrong. My lawyer and I are appealing Judge Mata's ruling. But if it isn't overturned, it opens the door to something far more dangerous. A world where a woman's right to file a paternity case can be weaponized against her. According to the American Association of Blood Banks, where did you even find that? Is that even a thing? According to the American Association of Blood Banks, the AABB, approximately 30% of paternity tests reveal the presumed father is not biologically related to the child. And if the appeal isn't successful, this decision could set a dangerous precedent. The Arizona Department of Child Support Services, DCSS, encourages women to file paternity cases when there is uncertainty, and genetic testing is offered to resolve these questions. According to the DCSS, even if the initial presumption of paternity turns out to be incorrect, the state continues to pay for testing until the right father is identified, without penalizing the woman for making a mistake. Sorry, I had a hiccup. Judge Mata's ruling threatens to dismantle the very protections meant to support women seeking legal clarity through the courts. Instead of offering a space for resolution, the decision imposes a chilling precedent. This suggests that a miscarriage or mistaken paternity claim could lead to severe financial and legal consequences. Courts are traditionally meant to serve as places where uncertainties like paternity can be resolved without fear of punishment. However, this ruling shifts that role, punishing women for seeking answers rather than protecting them during an already vulnerable time. In an effort to pressure Mitchell to file charges against me, Clayton has done several interviews. This violates the order of protection I have against him, which clearly states, defendant shall not communicate or post untrue or harassing comments regarding plaintiff online and shall not cause others to communicate or post untrue or harassing comments, which again, you say it violates the order, which you called Scottsdale Police Department like every other day. But he's allowed to give an interview and he's allowed to share his story and he's allowed to tell the truth. But you claim the truth is a lie, so that you claim it's a violation. Right, exactly. No, thank you. Okay. I like that handle. On one podcast, he brazenly said about the order that I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm going to test this. If the police show up and try to put me in cuffs for her, this is going to be a bigger stink than you realize. I'm going to fight this tooth and nail and say this is based on lies. Then he added, so I kind of got to the point where I'm like, no, wait, this is all based on a lie. So this protective order to me doesn't even exist. I don't really consider it valid whatsoever. I guess the law doesn't apply to him then. At least he seems to think so. Clayton had also appeared on the Charlie Kirk show and pushed Kirk for support. Kirk, one of MAGA's most vocal allies, promised Clayton that he would personally, publicly, and privately encourage Mitchell to press charges against me based on Clayton's version of the story. Pause. Ma'am, it seems like you are the one stalking Clayton. You are the one who is seeking out every move he makes on social media, going into Discords, which are not public, including Patreons, obtaining material. You are going out of your way to see these things. I've reported Clayton's violations of the protection order to the police, but they've yet to take action. Somehow, Justice for Clayton always finds out what I've done. They obtain the police reports, both audio and written, and pass them along to content creators who then make videos dissecting and monetizing them. Justice for Clayton claims that I'm misusing police resources, adding it to their ever-growing list of reasons I should be prosecuted. It's a terrifying cycle. And for someone on the autism spectrum, that's me, the constant feeling of being watched, judged, and criticized for exercising my legal rights is overwhelming. That has nothing to do with being on the spectrum. I would imagine that would be overwhelming to anyone if it were true, but it's not in your circumstances. That's your lies catching up to you. Oh, finally. Wow, we did a whole live with just one post. So I end with a message to you guys. Justice for Clayton. Imagine for just a minute that I am your friend. In 2017, I come to you, shaken, telling you about a stranger on a plane who handed me a note. She was so disturbed by the way my boyfriend had spoken to me for 9 hours that she felt compelled to warn me. In the note, she wrote that she feared for my life if I stayed with him. Even though you weren't there, would you dismiss her concern, saying she misunderstood his behavior? When I later confide in you that his emotional abuse escalated to physical violence, choking and suffocation, would you be shocked? Would you support me when I file for a restraining order? Would you go to court with me and watch as I start shaking violently, uncontrollably, when I see him in the hallway outside of court? Or would you, like Justice for Clayton has done, twist the story, turn me into the abuser, and build an entire movement around defending him as the victim? Again, pause. You're not asking us for 1 second just to imagine you were our friend. You're asking just for 1 second, imagine I'm being honest about all of this. Of course, our answer is going to be different if circumstances showed you were being honest. But even if I was your friend, which I would never be, you're fucking lying. So no to all of it because you're not telling the truth. Simple as that. If I told you I was pregnant by him and he came with me to Planned Parenthood to get abortion pills, would you claim years later that I faked the pregnancy when even he admitted in a deposition that it was real? Now, fast forward to 2021. I tell you I'm pregnant by a guy I've been seeing briefly. I'm confused and I'm unsure what to do. He tells me which doctor to go to in order to take a pregnancy test in a medical setting. I comply and they confirm it. Then, at his request, I arrange a video call with the doctor's office so he can hear it for himself. He texts me, take the fucking pills, Laura, and stop fucking saying it and do it. And followed by a promise to call the cops and make my life fucking miserable if I don't. Would you have supported my decision to take him to court for coercing me to have an abortion? Pause. Actually, even if that were the case, no, I still wouldn't support that because I cannot fucking stand this generation. I cannot fucking stand this generation. You guys already know how I feel about this stuff. You still had a choice. And you could have blocked him. You could have fucking, I'm having this baby. If you want to have the baby, you could have the baby. Unless it went beyond that, right? To where you genuinely tried to seize contact and it escalated from there, that's different. But if it's, because I saw how you were messaging with Mike. So if you're sitting there and you're engaging with him and he's not responding, though, he's allowed to be an asshole. He's allowed to be an asshole. That doesn't mean you were forced. Did he stuff the pills down your throat? Which again, you would never be released and sent home with the first abortion pill. You have to take that pill in the office. You would only be given the second pill to take home. So that's a whole ass fucking lie because it would never have gone down like this. But even if it did, my answer would be no, I still wouldn't support it because if you aren't strong enough to stand up and say, hey, no, I'm not going to do something because you're just telling me to, then you need help. Sorry, you do. You need help. If someone texts me right now, go fucking jump off a bridge. If you don't, I'm going to make your life miserable. You think I'm going to jump off that bridge? No. You're saying, yeah, I jumped, I broke every bone in my body, but it's your fault. You fucking told me to. No. So no, the answer is no. Years later, would you claim the pregnancy was fake? Would you ignore the confirmed test at One Medical, the doctor's video call, and everything else that proved it? Would you rewrite the story, turning him into the victim, start fundraising campaigns to support his legal battle, and cast me as the villain? In 2023, after being celibate for a year, what is that fucking, I'm sorry, this is like the third time in this one long rant you keep mentioning that. What does that mean? You were celibate for a year. Does that mean like this sex was even more critical and important? What does that mean? It doesn't mean shit. I digress. In 2023, after being celibate for a year, I call you 11 days after hooking up with Clayton Echard. And I say, oh my God, I just took a pregnancy test and it's positive. No, I wouldn't believe that either because who the fuck takes a pregnancy test 11 days after fucking? I'm in shock and I can't believe my eyes. At my request, you buy the test, which I take in front of you, and it's positive too. Then I ask you to come with me to urgent care so I can take one in a medical setting. When that test is also positive, do you question it? If I told you I was unsure what to do with the unplanned pregnancy, would you think I was wrong for filing a paternity case when all I wanted was a parenting plan, not money? Bitch, I love these hypotheticals you keep doing as if it works in your favor. It does not work in your favor. If I took a blood test 4 months later that confirmed I was still pregnant, would you say it was wrong? If you'd seen my obviously pregnant belly grow over the months, which are totally not from burritos, would you simply disregard that? Not like we'd take a spinning class. Like if I was your friend, like, girl, we'll go to Pilates, we'll take a spin. You're not pregnant. Yeah, stop with the obviously pregnant belly. By doing that, you're setting yourself up for failure, because that means that any guy can come up to you and be like, congratulations on your pregnancy. What? I'm just fat. Like, and then you would be outraged and offended and start some type of fucking movement for that, right? You enough with the obviously pregnant belly. A pudge does not equal positive pregnancy. That is not scientific. And when I miscarried, heartbroken, and tried to drop the paternity case when neither of us had any legal fees at the time, would you think it was reasonable that the judge didn't let me? Would you think it was right for the judge to allow the case to drag on for another 8 months, allowing my past abusers to show up in court even though they had no connection whatsoever to the 2023 pregnancy? And in the end, would you think it was right for me to be handed a $149,000 judgment and referred to the county attorney for filing a case that didn't require proof to file, although I had it? Girl, with this hypothetical, your list, we're having to jump through a lot of hoops, Laura, okay? It's not like just one. You're asking, like, we're on part 13 of if this was the scenario, like how many, like, no, just from this hypothetical alone, as you're typing it out, you should see how absolutely fucking bizarre this is. If I was your friend, we'd fucking blast Alanis Morissette, and while I'm driving your ass to the psych ward, okay? We're going to have a great time. I love you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to visit you, but we're going to the fucking psych ward. Would you think it was fair that the judge invited her father to attend my hearing and sit with Clayton's supporters? What would you think if you'd heard that her father showed one of Clayton's supporters documents about my case that the judge had printed out for him? What would you think if you saw that the judge's sister was a follower of Clayton's on Instagram? Would you think that maybe, just maybe, there was some bias in his favor? First of all, what about, let's do a little flipperoo, shall we? I think there was bias in your favor in your injunction against harassment when that old, respectfully, that old man judge literally looked at you with your fake belly and looked at Clayton and thought he was just a guy who didn't want to own up to his actions. Just saying. Yeah, the judge invited by her father, and the judge's sister, who can't possibly follow Clayton, which I'm sure probably came after the fact, but maybe she watches The Bachelor. The only thing that matters is Judge Mata. But guess what? If there was a conflict of interest, that would have been put on record immediately. And if what you're saying is true and it all played out the way you're saying and trying to claim, that would absolutely be reason for appeal. And the fact that you haven't been able to get that overturned speaks all the volumes. Finally, sorry. We're still supposed to be her friend in this hypothetical. Finally, in 2024, after a lifetime of symptoms, I am diagnosed with autism. You've known me for years, friend. You've seen my quirks, how I cancel plans last minute, never want to stay out late, and find it painful to make even the simplest of decisions. You just described every fucking girl on this planet. Like, oh my God. You just described me. You just described at least half the people in this chat. We have our quirks, cancel plans last minute, don't really want to stay out late, and we find it painful to make the simplest of decisions. I'm pretty sure guys make fun of us all the time, right? What do you want to eat? I don't know. You pick. No, come on. Like, do you want this? No. All right, you pick. All right, fine. We're getting Chinese. No, I don't want I don't want Chinese. Like that. You just described everyone. Okay, so cut it out. You've watched me struggle. You've watched me be overwhelmed and anxious time after time. So if I called you, friend, and said, a doctor just diagnosed me with autism, would you accuse me of lying? Yes, with your track record. Yes. Laura, you want an honest answer? Yes. You've claimed that doctors diagnose you with a lot, and all have not been true. So yes, I would accuse you of lying. Would you tell me I'm making it up? Yes. That I'm weaponizing it? For sure. Would you actually be offended by my diagnosis and go online to start a fundraiser for people you think really have autism? Actually, now you just gave me a fucking great idea. I was just talking about in the beginning of this stream what we should be doing our charity streams for. Maybe I'll keep that in mind, Laura. Or maybe a foundation for people who've been wrongly accused. That would be a good idea. I've been standing here explaining myself to you. Who acts as if they know with certainty about what happened between me and Clayton the night we hooked up, and who know I wasn't abused by Maricini over our 2-year relationship? But you weren't there. And that should have told me everything. Still, it wasn't until I saw one of you admit you were afraid of what happens when this case is over, afraid that without it, the community you've built around me will fall apart. That I finally understood. This was never about me. It was about you. You built this community around my destruction because it made you feel righteous. But it's a fragile thing, held together by your refusal to see me as human. The moment I'm seen as a real person, everything falls apart. The hashtags, the outrage, the cause, and all that will be left is the uncomfortable reality that this wasn't about me at all. It was about you and the cruelty you masked as a movement. End scene. I did not expect that one fucking post to take the entire 2-hour live to go through. That's crazy. That's crazy, number one. Number two, the difference between Laura and Letitia, since we were talking about it earlier, Laura is, dare I say, smart, but all right, hold on. Clearly not smart in the average way, but smarter than Letitia in the way that she's a very good gaslighter, and she knows how to. Here's the example. When she's referring to Judge Mata's ruling, right? And explaining the process of being able to file a paternity case in Arizona and pulling up the stats, the statistics for how many paternity cases actually result in the correct biological father being brought to court. She is smart in the way that she does use that stuff, and there is like that little wiggle room of how this is already a heated topic maybe in the community, or she knows how to use it. You know what I mean? I'm doing a bad job of explaining it, but same thing with the assault and bringing in, because anytime you bring that up, that's a hot topic. It's going to be something that more people than not will be able to maybe relate to or sympathize. And she knows how to like manipulate that and take her situation and kind of flip it around to where you're thinking about the other thing versus her specifically. But I'm just so, this clearly worked for her entire life. Yeah, sly, clever, not smart. Like, I don't want to say smart, but smarter than Letitia. Like, and again, we were talking about her earlier, because Letitia was not smart enough to even use certain things to her advantage. Laura seems like she does Darvo brilliantly. She knows how to flip it right back on. Her as the perpetrator is now the victim, and she makes the true victim the perpetrator. Everything she does to her victims, she acts as if her victims are doing to her. And that she's just so small, frail, little Laura, poor little girl victim. And the way that she's reached out, and it's just such a brazen, bold liar that attracts me. To be able to do a TEDx talk, to be able to push these lies out in the media, in the public eye, in court, and having no concern whatsoever about that being exposed or her held accountable. That's frightening. Someone who's not just willing to do that, but has no fear of accountability shows that they've never been held accountable. They've truly never had accountability before. Well, that's what it is. Like, we saw Letitia do the same thing, lie after lie after lie, but she was genuinely dumb with her lies. Like, Laura is dumb with her lies too, but she's a better speaker. And I see the manipulation she uses in the little loopholes of how to flip it back around on the, oh, are you going to make all the single moms who don't know who the father of their child, are you saying that they can't file? Like, she makes it about a broader argument versus specifically her. Yeah, I gotta do some more research on mom, because I'm very, very interested what her role is. Yeah, JS. Yep. Yeah, she has better grammar. I'll give it to her. Her spelling and grammar, verbiage is good. It is good. But that just shows, in my opinion, the same type of personality, but on a higher class financial status level. She got her education, but you can't take the crazy out of the person, right? Yeah. If anyone were to lie about me, I'd agree. Well, the gaslighting is insane. And what she did to these guys, and I hope the full wrath of the legal system comes against her. I really do. And I really expect a Jodi Arias type of thing to happen when she goes to trial, where they'll make, they completely revamped Jodi Arias. They changed her hair, they put on the glasses, they made her dress a certain way to appear more frail and not capable of doing what she has done. Same thing kind of like with Laura. I guarantee they're going to change her physical appearance to appear this small, frail, fragile woman who's not capable of doing these horrendous, horrible things. You know what I mean? But all right. Well, I'm going to stop there because those posts are insanely long, but we will be back on tomorrow. I'm going to try to finish these Medium posts this week, and I really thought we could get through all of them tonight. We got through one. But I want to finish the Medium post this weekend so we can move on to Greg Gillespie rabbit hole. And then we'll also be live on Patreon tomorrow night too, after the main live. So I'm going to schedule the live for tomorrow, so keep an eye out. Make sure your notifications are set. Thank you all for hanging out. I look forward to the weekend and doing some streams. So I hope you all have an amazing rest of your night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.